Hello, everyone. This is Daisuke Ishii Tech Podcasting. And then this is new series of podcasting because we're talking about myself. I'm Daisuke, and then I'm running two business. One is Team AI, which is machine learning research community here in Tokyo with 6,000 members. We are running for 3 years. And also we are running the SaaS translation chatbot application called Kiera, which can translate your message into 100 languages in Slack. So since I have lots of connections with interesting cutting-edge, state-of-the-art tech people, today I am inviting a special guest from Spain, Antonio, and then we are going to talk about machine learning, AI, neuroscience, and then hot topic is NeuralLink by Elon Musk. They announced the new project recently, so we are going to talk about it. Okay, so Antonio, please introduce yourself.
All right. Well, so I'm Antonio. Really nice to meet you all, and also to talk with you. Daisuke, it's really a pleasure. Yeah. And well, I'm an industrial engineer that I got interested in this neuroscience, neural engineering stuff, and now I'm working on a PhD. I'm second year, the biomedical neuroengineering research group in Spain, also a collaboration with the signal processing group in another university in Spain. Now I've been here for some months as a visiting fellow in Tokyo Tech. And well, we're going to talk about some neuroengineering today.
Yeah, welcome. Yeah, you know, for Japanese people, Tokyo Institute of Technology, TIT, is called Tokyo Kogyo Daigaku. Tokodai. So we say Tokodai in Japan, and then that's, you know, definitely top technical school. Yes. So are you happy about being in Tokodai?
I'm quite happy. I really enjoy the environment there, and there's a lot of interesting people. Yeah. Also, there's laboratory that's run by Daniel Berrar, data science laboratory.
Yeah.
That's really cool people working here.
So how big is the laboratory? Like, you know, how many machine learning master PhD people working in that?
I didn't count them all. Also, I'm not completely sure because sometimes we share space and work time and so on with this information theory laboratory. So it's a bit fussy for me. But there are very interesting people working on both information theory, machine learning, online learning, especially. Maybe we should like put some link to this laboratory because it's really interesting for someone. Maybe.
Okay. Right. So how many international students in Tokodai? Like how many percent out of
Tokodai? I would say the percentage is very high, especially we have a lot of international students from Asia, especially China, Thailand, Vietnamese, some Vietnamese researchers and students, especially Chinese. I had the pleasure to meet a lot of Chinese friends in here. And of course, there's European, American people too. Yeah.
Okay. So do you have any funny, interesting story about Tokodai? Did you make any mistake in Japanese?
The interesting story. That's, well, not for the public.
We'll see. Okay, so let's move on. So we have some topics about technology today, including machine learning, neuroscience, and you're a specialist of computer vision. So yeah, let's talk about it. What is neuroengineering and neuroprocessing? Yeah, what is it?
All right. So neuroengineering is a very exciting thing to me, and it's really fun actually because this is a research field that is kind of merging different disciplines. You will find people from biology, neuroscience, material engineers, electronic engineers in the field, and I will define the field, the research field, by using their goals. So in neuroengineering, what people try to do mainly are maybe more, but we could say three things. One thing is to understand the brain. That's where we overlap with the neuroscience. Also, we want to mimic the brain, and this is part of the computational neuroscience, especially. And well, it's kind of related with deep learning too, at some point, right?
Mm.
And the most interesting part for me in neuroengineering is neuroprosthetics. This means neuroprosthetics is the way we have to read information from the brain and the nervous system, and also to write information into the brain. So neuroprosthetics are devices that, as we will talk about it later, this, for example, NeuralLink is a very good example of neuroprosthetics that what we do is to, for example, stimulate different parts of the brain that are related to vision, hearing, or movement.
Page like this one.
Yes, this here we can see some of the three things that people in neuroengineering we do.
Mm.
And I like this part of this little figure from BlackRock Microsystems, that are one of the companies that creates this kind of electronic device we use for this, is that our goal is to help people to move again, to see again, to talk again, to hear again. One very good example of neuroprosthetics is cochlear implants. You know, some people are deaf, but they have a little implant inside their hearing system that is helping them to actually perceive sound. And you know,
I see. So in your opinion, how many percent of our brain is discovered and researched and then understood by the scientists?
well, that's a very good question.
Yeah.
And especially in the last 10 years, we're having a very much like a boost of tools that help us read information from neurons and to try to figure out what's going on, also to image the oxygen that is moving through the brain. And I'm not sure of this answer, because I will say first we should figure out the answer to what does it mean to understand the brain, right? That's a very difficult question. So
yeah, in understanding the brain is a kind of universe. So
yes, I can say that. For example, we can know some things. For example, if there's part of your brain that processes visual information, so if you activate these groups of neurons that process visual information, you are going to perceive a little dot of light.
yeah,
That's one of the principles that we're using for cortical visual prosthesis. Yeah.
So for your second point, what's other examples mimicking the brain? Like neural network is very, very famous for machine learning AI, but do you have any other example about the mimic?
Yes. For example, we are developing in the different groups in the world. One of those are very powerful groups in Switzerland, for example, in Zurich or Lausanne. They are creating neuromorphic computing chips.
Neuromorphic.
Exactly. So some smart neuroscientists and electrical engineers, what they do is they try to figure out how neurons process information in a very efficient way, and they try to mimic that, and as in silico, that means with electronics. And they're creating really powerful and power efficient computing devices that we call neuromorphic devices, that are able to perform some special kinds of computations that we use for example, for image processing, so on, but really fast and really energy efficient. So that's one of the applications of neural engineering.
Okay, so the scientists are applying a structure of neuron to the semiconductor.
Exactly, something like that.
Wow. And then neuroprosthetic, can you explain me about these pictures? Move again, see again, talk again, hear again?
Yeah, I love to. All right, so the thing is, it seems that if we activate certain parts of the cortex, that is in the surface of the brain, the cortex has, each part is related, somehow it's a simple way to say it, to one function. For example, if we stimulate a part of the motor cortex that is related to movement, if I stimulate a part of the brain that is related to my hands, maybe I will close my hand, because the signals that makes our hands move are generated into the brain, right? So for example, there's some people that maybe when you, let's see, for example, when you are moving your arm, you are generating order signals with your brain, but maybe these people cannot move their arm because part of the cables are broken. But if you read this information directly from the brain, maybe you can use what the neurons are saying to move, for example, a prosthetic arm. About seeing again is what I told you before. If you activate some neurons of the visual cortex, for example, primary visual cortex, in theory, a blind person could see little dots of light. Maybe we can create some device that is helpful for blind people to see again at some point. Maybe not natural vision, but something useful.
Okay, that's how you are helping the disabled people. Okay, let's move on to the next section. What is the role of AI on neurotech? So these are detailed, right, coming up pages.
Yes, yes.
Spike sorting, neural decoding, and the models of neural systems. So Spike, yes. Yeah, I think we have a medical data hackathon. We deal with brainwave data, which is time series, and then, yeah, we can see the spike in brainwave.
Yes, yes. If you measure the voltages in your brain, you will see there are some spikes. Yes. And neuroscientists think that the neurons are processing information by using and encoding this information in spikes. So if we are able to measure these spikes, we are going to need, for example, several algorithms to decode the information from these neurons, to say some way. And the thing is, there's a lot of people talking about AI these days, right? AI, neuroscience, and so on. But I wanted to give you some examples of real machine learning for real neuroscience application that are not creating a Terminator. So, for example, when you're reading neural tissue with one electrode, you are going to listen signals from different neurons. Each signals has a different shape. So with this machine learning, we can learn how to differentiate between different neurons that you are hearing with the same electrode. If you want, we can see the next slide so we can see this.
So how can we detect, brainwave, like from outside? Maybe it's very difficult to from inside.
That's a good question. So there's a lot of ways to measure information from the brain. One is to measure EEG, that are like more local, more global voltage potentials from outside the brain, but are related to the internal processes. The approach I'm working with my laboratory is invasive. So what you do is to insert electrodes in the brain directly, and then you can measure the neural signals with more fidelity.
So yeah, your case is applying to the human, but generally speaking, are you talking about application for the human brain or monkey brain or mouse brain?
So usually, well, the basic research is performed on mice or monkey.
Mice, monkey.
Yes, but at the end, what all of this has different purpose. One is to understand the brain, and the second one, and very important to me as an engineer, is to help people. So at the end, what everyone wants is to do clinical trials. This is to do experiments with ourselves, with humans.
I see. So your second point looks very interesting. What do you mean?
All right, so neural decoding is the process to decode information from the brain.
Okay. So input is kind of brainwave and output is some meaning or etc.
Exactly. So the input of your machine learning model, for example, will be the spike trains of different neurons. And the output of the model is how you have to move the robotic arm. So information for moving a robotic arm for a paralyzed person is in the person's will to move, right? So you have to decode this information and create an output that is the movement of this robot, right? So that's one of the applications for machine learning, for example, a real application.
Okay, nice. So let's move on. That's okay. You have a different separate PowerPoint about.
So this is one example of.
So input is time series. Looks this is complicated data, and then you're making it to the multidimensional. Okay.
Yes, yes. So this is one example of machine learning applied to neuroscience data. So the input of the model. When you're recording neural tissue, you will see these black signals that see that it looks like mixing, like they're mixed. So they're actually 3 different neurons that are performing some computation. So what you do is with these signals, you perform like PCA, like principal component analysis.
PCA, okay.
And then you are going to perform some unsupervised learning algorithm, like clustering, and then you can separate the 3 neurons. Okay, so now you can hear to 3 different neurons, and you use this information for neural decoding or for whatever you want. So this is one example of real machine learning.
In my medical hackathon, I think doctor people are saying maybe brainwave data has a lot of noise. So how do you separate variable data from noise?
Exactly. That's one of the applications, yes.
So machine learning can be the solution for that, like separating.
Absolutely.
Okay.
In this case, it is.
So let's move on, next one. So this is a neural decoding, and then, so what is a right picture and left picture?
All right, so here I wanted to show you that, well, a very nice review of machine learning for neural decoding for people that could be interesting from a very, very good computational neuroscientist, Conrad Cording. And well, in the right part, you can see a paralyzed woman that is able to move a robotic arm with her brain signals. And this was a very, very nice project that's led by Andrew Schwartz from the University of Pittsburgh. And I think it's very exciting to see that this is what everyone of us wants, to actually make progress towards helping people that cannot move or cannot see or cannot. So yeah, it's just one very, very exciting example.
So you kind of paper around their work, and then when is it? This year or last year or 2 years ago?
They are performing experiments since 2000. So 2000, 2004, 2008. Yeah, they're performing trials with different volunteers.
So
and the going well.
Device this lady has on top of the head is a detection.
Yes. Okay. This is this person has a Utah array implanted into the motor cortex, and the pedestal is for information transmission to a computer. And then the computer, by using some algorithm, probably machine learning, but it could be something more simple. They read the information from her neurons, from their wheel, and these motor commands are going to this robotic arm. And if you can see the video, she will like feed herself this juice. And that is, to me, seeing this was one of the most exciting things I've ever seen. And in part, that's why I wanted to work on this. So
I see. So this lady has which kind of disease?
Sorry?
Which kind of disease does this lady have? Like ALS or?
Paraplegia. Well, in this case, it was a degenerative disease, but it could be an accident too. Yeah, depends on the person.
Let's move on.
But if your brain is working, then you can use these signals to move it. Yeah.
So next one is the architecture of neural network.
Yes. So
Keras TensorFlow. So
yes. Okay. This is one example of how to use machine learning or deep learning in this case to model different neural systems. So, well, this is, well, in this case, this is part of my research work. And in here, you can see a model of the retina. So what we wanted to do is to mimic how the retina encodes visual information.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see in the left part some video frames that are being processed by a biological retina, and then the retina encodes the information into firing rates of neurons. So what we did is to try to create a data set where the input is video, the output are firing rates of neurons, and we use a convolutional neural network to mimic this behavior and try to understand better what's going on there. And well, in this case, we use Keras and TensorFlow, very like popular deep learning frameworks for that.
So this is saying 3 convolutional neural network because this has a time series, right?
Exactly.
Okay, let's move on. So next section is cortical prosthetics for the blind.
Mm-hmm.
So let's check your slide.
All right. So this is one of the main projects in the world that for people that are trying to help blind people to see. And you can see the map. We have a lot of people all around the world that are trying to help blind people. There are different approaches to restore vision. It could be retinal prosthetic that some people like Second Sight or in US or Pixel Vision are doing a lot of advance on that. Pixel is a French company, right? All right, but in general, we have people all around the world doing retinal prostheses, cortical prostheses, that means on the brain, and in different parts of the visual tract.
Yeah.
And this is for example, this is Eduardo, this is my supervisor, and he's leading the biomedical neuroengineering research group in Spain. So we are one of those teams that are working on this.
What other people approach? Is that similar to your research, or do you know something unique in different countries?
Yes, so that's a good question. So mainly the different approaches depend of where are you going to stimulate the visual system to generate these light perceptions, right? So the difference is if there's some big teams working on retinal prosthesis, as I say, in US, in France, and in Japan too. And the thing is, for example, let's say that a person is blind and his or her retina is not working anymore, but also the optic nerve is also not working. So the only way you can try to help this person will be interfacing the brain directly. That's what we are doing. Also, some other people in Europe, I will show you after. NeuralLink is going to work on the brain directly too.
Okay. Let's move on to NeuroLink Alpha. So is this your project or?
Yes, this is our approach. And here you can see a little schema of how these things will work. So this person will have a camera. And this camera will receive an input stream. And this is an image of my little brother, by the way, when he was a kid. And we will encode the visual information in a bio-inspired way, maybe using an artificial retina or maybe using another image processing algorithm. And we encode this visual information into the youth array, this little chip with things connected to your brain. This is the main idea.
So basically, in order to help blind people, your research is collecting the image data from the camera and then put the signal, sending the signal into the brain from the back.
Exactly.
So how the blind people can recognize the image from signal?
All right, so that's one of the things we're starting to study. We had the first trial with the human and this last month. So we are still analyzing the data and so on. So I cannot say much to you right now, but things are going well. And it's possible that a blind person will need some kind of training to be able to recognize light patterns again, because after not seeing for a lot of years, maybe your brain is changing a bit, about plasticity and so on. So there's a lot of things to figure out still.
So I'm helping half-blind people or completely blind people from the beginning of the life, or
yes, exactly.
Blind people are helping.
Well, so right now we are going to work with people that was able to see before and they lost vision at some point, because it's more probable that they will be able to recognize light patterns because their brain receive visual input and at the beginning of their lives. So it's more probable that this is going to work better with people who was able to see before.
So how's people's reaction or opinion about signals? Like they can imagine the image, or they can...
Yeah, a person who saw again is perfectly able to process visual information and to have imagination, like visual imagination and dreams and so on. So yeah.
Okay, thank you. So next page is maybe architecture, and then can you...
Yeah, well, this is more technical part. It's just a draft of how our system is working with a camera, computer that could be a Raspberry Pi in this case, a neural computer stick where the encoding model is in there. It's a device from Intel. And the CERSTIM is the neurostimulator that sends the electrical pulse to the brain. The Utah array is the little device that's connected to the neural tissue. And that's it. But, we don't need to go much into the details, but if anyone's interested, please send me an email or whatever, and we're going to talk about this.
So you are talking about which is edge device with a GPU.
Yes, it's a kind of ASIC. The neural computer stick is, they call it visual processing unit. Yeah, we could say it's a kind of mini GPU for parallel computation. It's a special hardware for convolutional neural networks mainly.
Do you think edge computing is important for the business application?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that for the neuroprosthetics is very important, because when a neuroprosthesis is working already, we need this to be very light, so people can have a normal life and move and so on. So we're going to need very power efficient devices for this.
Okay, and also you picked a Raspberry Pi.
Yes. In this case, we wanted to demonstrate that we are able to create these kind of systems with the commercial and like low power devices. But in the future, it's going to be more like a specific electronics designed for the prosthesis. But well, we created a little prototype here, and it's able to work. So.
All right. Yeah. So thank you very much for going through your research fields. That's so fantastic. And then we are looking forward to your business application actually helping maybe millions of people in the world.
I hope it works.
So let's move on. So this is talking about NeuralLink, which is Elon Musk organization, and then they announced new project last week. So this is very fresh topic in neuroscience, machine learning, and for the fan of Elon Musk.
Yes, that's also true. I was very excited watching their presentation.
NeuralLink. What is NeuralLink? I know what it is, and then for you, NeuralLink is for-profit company which is researching on the machine learning, neuroscience, and then. So for you, what is the goal of NeuralLink?
All right. Well, so I will say there's two different things here. One thing is about merging the human being with AI, but that's more like for the future. But what I'm most interested and excited is that NeuralLink are actually a company that they're actually doing trying to do the same as a lot of researchers around the world. That is, help people to see again, to hear again, to move, and so on. So mainly they're kind of like a neural engineering laboratory, but private. A lot of resources with state-of-the-art technology, and it's going to be very exciting to see what they are able to do.
Okay, so let's move on to the next page. So, yeah, NeuralLink, I heard they are trying to merge machine learning with humans. How is it possible?
This is more like a personal belief from Elon Musk, and it's quite like interesting and fun to think about that. But in my opinion, we are not even near artificial general intelligence, and also we don't know how the brain works. So I think we are not so close to this part. So yeah, I'm more focused on the helping people part, the rehabilitation technologies, and so on.
It is about extension of our brain as a memory or something.
Yes. So Elon said that with this kind of technologies that we're working with, we will be able to add a new layer to our brains, right? And well, but I'm looking forward to see how they think they're going to do this, right? By now, at least we could work on restoring neurosensory abilities of people that lose it, like hearing or vision.
I think last week Musk was talking about helping Alzheimer people, researching on that.
Yeah, maybe you mean Parkinson or
Alzheimer, yeah, and brain disease.
Yes. Actually, we have some technologies already working in like commercially and clinically with people that it's called deep brain stimulation. You have a really big, like a very long electrode inside in your brain, and it helps you to control this, tremor that people has, and it's actually a very, very nice application.
Okay, so next page is about these maybe researchers or NeuralLink.
Yes, so again, what NeuralLink are showing is something really, really impressive in terms of technology, in terms of engineering, because they are kind of gathering state-of-the-art technologies in the neural implants, in the signal processing, and so on, and are gathering everything together as a team. But these technologies and these ideas kind of already exist from a long time. And for example, here I wanted to show you some people working on the field already. You can see Andrew Schwartz, that's one of the pioneers of motor prosthesis in Pittsburgh, and he's the guy who lead this team for this paralyzed woman, for example. We have Eduardo, of course, is our team. We're working in Spain. Richard Norman from he invented the Utah electrode, that is this implant that all of the main researchers, cortical implants in the world, are using, and he's the creator of this one. And for example, Peter Rosma from the Netherlands. What I wanted to say with this is that there are a lot of really good teams around the world working on this, and I hope NeuralLink they're able to give a next step. For example, the new cortical implant is little wires. Sounds very exciting, and it's like a new generation of implants.
So what is the shape of neural implant? It is like a long cord?
You mean the implant?
Yeah,
yeah. So it's this is a very interesting one, because what we are using right now is the only brain implant that is approved for human use. The Utah array that's created from Richard Norman. It's like a little square with the stings that you push into the brain. But the interesting thing that NeuralLink is developing is that they can kind of select the exact position of each electrode in your brain, and also to not go through any brain veins. So you can control exactly where to put each electrode, and that's going to be very interesting. It's like more flexible device. Yeah.
So what happens if those doctors make mistake?
Sorry, that's again.
Yeah, what happens if doctors can make mistake?
Well, in these implants are very little. So what you can have is like a vein could be broken, but you know the neural tissue can be a bit damaged. But there's like years and years of trials already done with this kind of devices, and they're safe. So you know, before trying this in a human, you have to really prove that this is going to be safe. So to get the FDA approval to do this, so yeah, they're safe.
So in order to activate this implant, do we have to bring the battery together with the device?
Yes, exactly. So now in the clinical trials that a lot of researchers are doing, including us, we don't have a wireless implant right now.
Wireless,
because we're more interested in learning what's the psychophysics. This is the relationship between the electrical stimulus and the perception of the person. So we are not focusing, some of us still, on making the device wireless, but we're on the way, and also NeuralLink is going to make this. That's why it's so important to use, as we talked before, these special electronics, you know, because you really need very efficient, energy efficient devices that are able to perform enough computations online and real time without needing lots of energy and big batteries.
I see.
So really,
do you know the price of the device? Very expensive, I think.
Yeah, I think I think they didn't say anything still, but yeah, it will be expensive, at least at the beginning. But it's like everything, you know. I hope that with the time passing, things will be cheaper and cheaper, and more people will be able to benefit from this. But first, we have to make things work. So there's a lot of work to be done still.
So last week, Elon Musk was talking about, you know, they are trying to apply implant to the human, and then they are going to get FDA approval, those things.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So it seems that they already tried with some things with the mice, and maybe they mentioned that they were going to release a new paper with some trials with a monkey that is able to move a kind of mouse with the thoughts, but I didn't see the results still. Let's see. They want to do with experiments with a human by 2020, right? Exciting.
Yeah, their goal is helping human with machine learning. So this is architecture.
Yes, this is what I think is part of the future of neuroprosthesis, and I'm working on this already.
So this is research.
Yeah, this is part of our ongoing research. I know there's more people in different laboratories that are going to see working something similar. So the thing is, the idea in this is to use neural networks to pre-process the image before sending the information to the brain, because the visual environment is very rich and very complex. And it's possible that the visual prosthesis at the beginning, they don't have enough resolution to describe all the complexity of the visual environment. So what we could do is, for example, to take an image and send this information to the brain. So kind of simplifying the most important information before sending it to the brain.
Yeah, I understand the input is RGB image, like you know, taken from camera, computer vision. I understand. So why you pick the segmentation as an output?
Well, in this case, I think this could be a very good way to pre-process information, because what we want at the end is, for example, border detection. But the problem is if you perform border detection is in a very complex image, you get a lot of borders from details that you don't, that are not so important for a prosthetic at the beginning. So what I thought we should do is to perform first image segmentation. So you will get the borders of objects that have a meaning. That's why the semantic word meaning is very important. You will segment objects that are meaning, for example, a dog, a person, a door, and then with that borders, you will get maybe the most important part of the visual information. This is part of the research. This is one of the approaches. Let's see if it's the best or not, but we have to create the technology first and then see if it's going to be the best approach or not.
Microsoft do a non-profit application to help blind people. Like input is camera in a smartphone app, and then output is telling the item in the image.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a very interesting one and very useful.
Okay. And then this is the last page. I'm looking forward to hearing from your questions and ideas. So here's your email, Twitter account. So
yes, of course. If anyone has some interest or is curious about all of these things or have any questions, I will be very happy to talk with all of you. And Daisuke, thank you so much for having me today. It's been a pleasure as always.
So my additional question is, I think you checked the white paper of the NeuralLink.
Yes, of course.
So how was it? Like, what's the contents and what's the main point about this white paper?
All right. So, well, what they are doing here is to present their main technologies they develop, and it's a very technological presentation. So they are not, they are showing some scientific, some data, some results of like measuring some neurons and so on, but they don't do any analysis. They're just presenting their electronics, their surgery robot, the new implants. So they're kind of showing, like their new technology, and that's very interesting. But now we have to see what they do with that. We have to wait a little bit for that.
Yeah, for sure, they have a lot of secrets. And then, what do you mean by surgical robot? Like,
they developed this new way of putting the implant. So they have a robot that is going to correct for the brain is moving continuously. So in order to put this each thread, each electrode with high precision, they developed a new robot that is able to do this, and it's quite impressive.
Okay, so can you guess the goal of Elon Musk? What is he going to do in 3 years or 5 years? What's his secret and goal?
In this case, they were very clear. They want to have a clinical trial with the human, and they're going to focus on motor prosthesis, like maybe moving a robot with their, yes, that's for sure. They need a very big initial success because, they're a company, right? And they need profits and so on. So now they really need to show up their real potential, and yeah, they're going to go for motor prosthesis right now. So you see, Daisuke, that everything here is about neurosensory systems, like hearing, vision, motor. We're not talking about cognition, actually, like complex thoughts and so on. There's nothing about that right now. There's no, like updating your thoughts or your personality to the cloud, something like that. Right now, we're talking about neurosensory engineering.
So next step of the NeuralLink is publishing research paper.
Yes, with animals.
Are they going to speak at the conference?
Sorry?
Are they going to speak at the conference? NeuralLink researchers?
Yeah, probably I will not be surprised if they publish in something like Nature, Science, right? It's not going to be probably an AI or like deep learning. It's much more probable that they will go for a neuroscience journal or a general science journal like Nature, and yeah, it's going to be a big thing, I'm sure. But what they need to do right now is to do experiments that other people did in the past. For example, Andrew Schwartz with the motor prosthesis, that he's already able to help people to move a robot, right?
Andrew Schwartz.
Yes, and he's able to do it with the one UTA array that has 96 electrodes, not 1,000 or 3,000. So, Schwartz is able to help a person to control a robot with only 96 electrodes, just a bunch of neurons. Let's see if having thousands of neurons is maybe a new breakthrough or not. It's kind of interesting.
What do you think about Japanese universities' research level in neuroscience?
Well, so in this case, this time my visit here was into like very engineering focused university. And my laboratory is a data science. So it's somehow they work with things related to health science, more with genomics. And information theory is, more mathematical and abstract. So in here, I was not so much in touch with the neuroscientists, actually.
However, works with actual mice or monkey in the field, or are you just processing the data?
Well, for creating the retina models, the data comes from a mouse retina. So yeah, we really, in this neuroengineering field, you really need a multidisciplinary team. So in our team, we have one or two electrophysiologists. We have a general doctor. We have a neurologist. We have a couple of engineers. We have a physicist. So here you really need a lot of people with different background. So for example, to perform experiments with the biological systems, right? So I'm an engineer, industrial engineer. I'm not able to do this part.
Okay. What do you think about cultural difference about dealing with brain in different countries? Like Japan is a Buddhism, basically, and then Spain is a Catholic, and then US the major party is a Protestant. So
yeah, that's a very interesting question.
Yeah.
Well, so I think that maybe even with cultural differences, people working on the field, usually scientists and engineers, we share kind of common rational views sometimes. Even, all of us are human, right? I think the most differences you're about this kind of research or about these things in general, you can see more the difference in the general public. So, in how people in different countries react to this NeuralLink thing.
Yeah, people's reaction, right? I think, basically speaking, researchers are smart enough to accept the radical things or state of the art or really crazy idea, etc. And then researchers are okay with experiment testing.
Well, of course, it depends on
reaction.
Everyone has the researchers. Everyone has their own religious beliefs or ethical background, of course. And one very, very important part of the research is, ethics and bioethics.
Ethics
part for work. The thing is, researchers usually understand very well what they're doing and their implications. But for example, general public may not understand some parts of the research or not know the implications and so on. Just because you're not familiar with the topic, it's going to happen to me with the different research fields. So in there, the bias or your ethical background or your religious background, maybe it's going to have a lot of impact too.
Like, do you have cultural taboos in Spain about neuroscience research?
Well, usually, we're very lucky to be working on a research field that it's a very beautiful goal. So usually no one is against to try to help blind people to see again. Mm-hmm. So in this case, it's kind of easy.
Okay. Yeah, I understand. So my last question is, what's your next plan? Because you're here for maybe 4 months, 5 months now, and then what's our coming up plan, like steps, and then planning?
Right. So, well, I'm going to stay a bit more in Tokyo. Really like living here, keep working on new papers and so on. Eventually, I will go back to Spain, and probably at some point we will have a new blind volunteer, and for sure I have to be there during this time. And probably I will also go to this Netherlands Institute for NeuroScience for some time, also to learn with them and to exchange, knowledge. They're really good, and I hope I can learn some, and we can collaborate together, and maybe things go even faster and better.
So may I ask you why you started liking Japan? Thank you for liking Japan, but which part of Japan you like most?
Well, the fact that it's a really different place, it's always nice, right? And Japanese people are very kind all the time, mainly. So it's very, very nice somehow and easy for me to be here. Even if Tokyo is a really busy city, but I'm feeling peaceful here. Food is amazing, and also Tokyo is a very multicultural place too. There's a lot of like gaijin too, and interesting people from all over the world to meet. So I would say people is great, food is great, and culture is so interesting. So for us, you're learning new things every day, mainly.
So for example, talking about Spain, what's happening regarding machine learning research in Spain or Europe, or which cities are most active about research machine learning?
So I think that now Spanish researchers and keeping up with AI, machine learning, and so on. We have some people working on this since, I don't know, 40 years ago, right? But in general, I feel like the machine learning research is likely a very, very open and international field. So usually we are looking at people from everywhere, in the world. So I'm not so aware of, especially Spain, and we're just following each other, everyone in the world from Japan, France, US, Spain. Everyone's on this, and the field is very open. You really can do research and use open models that other researchers are developing, and that's great.
Okay, yeah, that's it for my question. And then, you have 1 minute to promote your project or help or looking for connection, etc. So, do you have something to promote?
Well, no, I think very happy with to be talking here with you. And again, if someone is just interested on these kind of things or want to do some kind of collaboration, of course, I'm really open to that. And I'm going to stay in Tokyo for a bit more time. So,
yeah, having a cafe or having tapas, having paella.
Yes. I hope I'm seeing you soon, Daisuke.
Yeah. Okay, so that's it. Okay, thank you very much, and then keep in touch.
Was fun to talk with you.
Yeah, thank you.